I'm sure a lot of you are probably pretty tired of hearing about a lot of this drama around Call of Duty and Sony and Microsoft, and I'm right there with you. I feel like this is something that should have been handled a long time ago. I also feel like it's clearly a situation where we see that Sony is getting some kind of preferential treatment, and it's honestly kind of annoying to say the least. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Sony is a company that is going to find itself hard-pressed probably in the future to keep up with a lot of the things that, Microsoft are doing, which is why you see some of the changes. And people go, what changes are you talking about, crap? You're totally full of it. Well, I mean, obviously, Sony is putting a heavy emphasis on games as a service. They have probably the #1 single-player game creation studio in the world with Naughty Dog. And what is Naughty Dog doing? Well, they did a remake. They're doing looks like what they're doing is a free-to-play Battle Royale, right? It just seems like that's sort of wasted talent, in my opinion. And before you jump down my throat going, but they're working on this other thing too, I'm sure they are. Let me know in 2027 when that ever sees the light of day, because everybody else is so busy with this free-to-play multiplayer game, which would have never happened in the past. But anyway, we're starting to look like we're getting kind of the end with this Activision nonsense, and I think this is going to do well for Microsoft. We had a pretty big announcement, which is obviously going to probably ruffle a few feathers along the way, but regardless, I think that Microsoft is doing the right thing here, and coming out and being honest about this stuff. I think this is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Let's get started, shall we? Hey everybody, I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I certainly do appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. I would definitely love that. I think that would be fantastic. If you could please get out there and hit that like button. I'm looking to get 100 likes on each of the videos that I'm doing. It is a super small goal, but you know what? It's a goal that I'm looking to reach nonetheless. It would be great. So now we know that Microsoft is kind of coming clean with how much of a market share they have, and we get a pretty good idea, that they're really kind of getting slapped around a little bit, and that's part of the reason why, that's why they're kind of going this route with Activision. People are wondering why they need Activision or what have you, and now we have a good idea as to why. Company president Brad Smith made this claim that they're losing 70% to 30% during a press conference after Microsoft presented arguments for why its proposed acquisitions should be approved. Think about the market in Europe. It is a market where Sony has an 80% share. Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96-4. These numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when there were issues with Sony's supply chain, they came back strong. Smith, who said PlayStation outsold Xbox by 69-31 towards the end of 2022, seemingly didn't provide figures for Microsoft's biggest market, the United States. Today's hearings allowed Microsoft to address a statement of objections it recently received from the EU, warning about the possible anti-competitive effects of the $69 billion deal to acquire Activision Blizzard. Tom Warren said this: Microsoft President Brad Smith says Sony can spend all of its energy trying to block this deal, or it can sit down with us and hammer out an agreement that addresses what it says it's concerned about, mainly the access of Call of Duty in the future. Microsoft thinks its 2 deals with Nvidia and Nintendo will be enough to convince regulators. Smith on the CMA: do you want to kill a deal and cement Sony's position, or do you want to open this Call of Duty up to 150 million more people? Coinciding with the hearing, absolutely, which I think was probably a very big deal, Microsoft announced that it signed a binding 10-year legal agreement to bring Call of Duty to the Nintendo platforms. The company also announced a 10-year partnership with Nvidia to bring its Xbox PC games to cloud streaming service Nvidia GeForce Now. This deal will include Activision Blizzard games like Call of Duty should Microsoft bids to acquire the World of Warcraft publisher be approved by regulators along the way. Microsoft recently said it had offered Sony a 10-year legally enforceable contract to make each new Call of Duty game available on the PlayStation the same day it comes to Xbox. We haven't agreed to a deal with Sony, but I hope we will, according to Smith. Sony can spend all of its energy trying to block this deal, or it can sit down with us and hammer out an agreement that addresses actually what it's concerned about, mainly the access to Call of Duty in the future, according to Verge reporter Tom Warren. Now, also, interesting, earlier in the month, UK Competition Markets Authority said it had previously found that Activision Blizzard acquisition could reduce competition and result in higher prices, fewer choices, or less innovation for UK gamers, but the regulator outlined several potential remedies that might help clear a path to producing the deal, including a partial divestiture of Activision, which it's really unrealistic to think that, you know, one game or one company can be carved out and separated from the rest, according to Smith, which is actually pretty on par with, I mean, that's just honestly being completely honest about it. It doesn't make sense to do that in any way, shape, or form. And, you know, hopefully we continue to see Microsoft invest and be able to invest in these amazing games that Activision has, and that's going to be crucial going forward. Now, again, Sony has a long way to go. It's like doesn't seem like Sony really wants to do any kind of work with Microsoft to begin with, which is certainly unfortunate because obviously Microsoft, in my opinion anyway, they're kind of in the driver's seat with this stuff. Like they're signing deals with these other companies. It's pretty simple to see that you know, Microsoft is going to push this through, and yet we still have all this kind of nonsense from Sony going on, which is super unfortunate. It really is. I mean, if you want to get serious about it, it's probably one of the most unfortunate things I've seen, because Sony just refuses to work with anybody else. And, you know, to me, that really kind of is grating, because Microsoft has done nothing but, you know, be true to their word when it comes to this stuff. And before you kind of go with that whole crap gamer blah 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 thing again, listen, Microsoft has been 100% true to their word, because they said they would keep Minecraft on various things, and they have. And, you know, they said that they would keep, you know, like the legacy stuff from, you know, the Elder Scrolls Online and stuff like that would stay multiplat, and all that stuff has happened, you know. So I don't understand where a lot of this stuff, oh well, they lied, blah blah blah, I don't understand where a lot of that stuff came from, but clearly Microsoft is staying true to their word, and it's just kind of ignorance at this point to see that, you know, again, Sony's kind of holding this up without any kind of real legitimate way about them for, you know, getting what they want. Like, they're complaining about this stuff, but at the same time, they're not exactly going out there and trying to find a solution to it. I think obviously their solution is something along the lines of Microsoft just shouldn't be allowed to do this, and Microsoft shouldn't be allowed to do that. It's unfortunate to say the least, because nobody was stopping Sony from doing a lot of this stuff. So I feel like that's something that people need to kind of keep in mind, and hopefully we continue to see growth there in general from Microsoft with Activision under it. I think that gaming is going to continue to get better, and you will have more access to these games with Microsoft having Activision. With that being said, I'm going to link this. Check it out. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. Thanks for watching. Crap Gamer out.